Something that I was thinking about where there's now the division that's happening within Black Americana. People like the Hoteps and Kevin Samuels, people like David Carroll, and others have sort of made it such that there's no way back. Having myself a little late night coffee in a can. And this really being kind of an indictment of the black female vote and the embracing by black women of the welfare state, the Great Society project by Johnson, and that it really speaks volumes. That it just speaks volumes. That every chance at the ballot box black women get, they'll vote for the Great Society over their own men every single time. To the point that even when they're openly being bamboozled by political race hustlers who are openly not heterosexual, and that they're just collecting money for their non-heterosexual sex movement and Democratic shenanigans movement, Democratic Party shenanigans, and that black women will do backflips, do double monkey backflip, just sitting there just backflipping and backflipping and backflipping for such popularity points through hashtag campaigns and crap like that, only to see the whole movement just end up being just a big fat ripoff. Such a ripoff, such a gaffle that nobody will even admit they participated. That people totally try to pretend like they didn't get gaffled by BLM, that they didn't get punked out by Antifa, that they didn't just let themselves get made into punk ass busters. That everybody who lives in a city where they just let those motherfuckers go nuts, you got punked out. They look at you now as you're one of the normies who we punked out. We can kick the shit out of you anytime we want. The police and the FBI won't touch us. So now what's the interesting part is to see how white liberal society is dealing with being punked out. Because that's really what the deal is. That's really, really one of the most interesting parts about it, is the Antifa showed the ultimate of the punk-ass white boy kind of as a term in our society. That you can't be a man of European descent who stands for law and order anymore, and that people are allowed to beat you up if you're don't steal my car, don't. Remember that one guy, get away from my wife, and the guys fucking stomped the shit out of him and his wife during the race riots that the Democrats caused? Well, now there's never going to be a way back from this. I don't think Democrats can even fathom it. I don't think that they really have sort of the mental wherewithal to really understand, no, you totally got caught doing this. Everybody knows now, what you really are. All the way deep down, what you kind of people are. Your kind. People who love race riots and violence and esteem black criminality and welfare and drug addiction, and there will never be a way back from this. And the beautiful part is there's no way that they can even steer away from this now. They've identified themselves far too closely and personally with all of this as kind of a mass movement, as a part of their political, because they have to offer it as a part of the culture itself. They have to try to make it where, no, this is a normal part of the culture that's very normal and is totally healthy and is not indicative of every single form of social ill. And that we are literally the people who are the social ills. we are the social problem, and it's like really like kind of a fascinating thing that they are now absolutely identifiable as the people who are the social problems. You know, if something's wrong with you, you act like a Democrat. If something's very, very wrong with you, and if you support them, something's probably very, very wrong with you. And yeah, and it's gonna be neat to see how this plays out over, because this is gonna be 5, 10 years, 5 to 10 years. This is gonna play out. Good news, my totally uncool next door neighbor is gone. One of the many people chucked out because they couldn't keep paying rent. All fucked up. Wow. One of those things where I like sit back and I'm like, I have troubles, but I don't got problems like that. I might have troubles, but I don't have problems like that. All right. Oh shit, that totally reminds me. I think I still have that set up for once a month payout to the stocks, to the stonks. But yeah, it was just something I was considering, just that I'm still running my mind over it, because really we aren't seeing yet the lawsuits. Remember the whole thing with the medication, with the inoculation regime, is that now more and more people are becoming aware of what the legal ramifications are. That all these countries gave their sovereign rights up to Pfizer and Merck and all these people, and that so this speaks volumes. What do these companies have over whole countries? That they are literally saying that, yeah, you know, you accept this inoculation, blah blah blah, but after that we gain control of physical territory of your country. Like there's all kinds of sovereignty issues that as private firms, yada yada yada. So this is now telling us that like the pharmaceutical industry is actually a part of some much larger power structure that actually is really running the world. And yeah, and it's and so what we should expect to see is we should expect to see a very fascinating new form of medical coercion start occurring, and some indication of this. There will be an indication of how these medical firms are openly coercing governments and populations to do what they want, and it won't. It's not going to be just the it's not going to be the jab. It's not going to be the prick. It's going to be something else, and yeah, it's going to be something else that they're going to do. This is only the beginning of what they're up to. This is, and I really do think, like how some people have theorized, that what Trump made people do, a lot of people do, is speed up their schedule. That this was always going to happen. It was just that it was on a timetable, and that he made them speed it up. That's now I am much more certain of this. But yeah, it's one thing to have a civil war that people can say, I'm on this side of it because of this principle or that principle. But when it's like really now what the Democrats have made it, with that we are that the Democrats are inherently untruthful people. That they've really exposed that they are sort of like white people who really do believe in sort of criminality if you can get away with it, because they think that that's how everything operates. More and more, I think that's really one of the key things that we're getting to see, is no. These are people who really do esteem crime and criminals. And it's because, and they esteem them because they really think that people like that get how things work. It's beyond anti-hero. It's not like Wolverine, who was fundamentally done wrong and is trying to piece together who did him wrong. This is definitely more of the thing, like some just the idea. What is it? There's this exists in Dungeons and Dragons, kind of somebody who's like sort of ambiguously evil. They don't really commit evil. It's just they'll do something for really just for themselves, because that's really what's up. Are really just self-serving. And that's the Democrats have now shown. It's like, oh no, we absolutely don't believe in others' rights. Like, they really do believe in democracy, that they should be the majority party that rules through coercion, that they would actually, that if they had their druthers, they would hurt other people with who have other views. They've shown everybody this, that they have no problem actually physically hurting other people or using proxy violence. And with really, you have to be kind of stupid to think that the FBI is not protecting Antifa. It's beyond naive. It's just plain out. It's beyond naive. So that's really the thing that I was thinking about, like, that it will take time, but that with enough time, we really will see a major change. Oh yeah, dude, Glow in the Dark, that was a sick, your mixes, you do really good. I really love your streams, Glow in the Dark, when I catch your music. But yeah, it's just, so I don't know, I was just thinking about that, because that separation in society, that's going to hurt them. It's not, this isn't something that hurts really the conservatives ever. Because of the way that the conservatives think of others, that they don't have to agree with somebody. That's the whole thing. They really do think like, well, no, I mean, I don't have to agree with someone. They could be, perfectly fine, and, I could disagree with them. But now it's like, there's many people who are right of center who are like, oh, you are literally violent and criminal, and will become that if you think you can get away with it, and that history will conveniently forget. That's a big one. That they think that history in the long run will look at them and say, no, you were the good people. You were the good guys. All those riots and everything, no, you see, in the long run, it was the ends justify the means. That the Democrats have finally shown themselves. That's the element with anybody who knows enough about the Illuminati Lodge, the ends justify the means, and the endless revolution. That's an Illuminati saying. The ends will justify the means. That's how the Illuminati felt about their endless revolution. So, look at that, Kevin Samuels, more or less. Let's see what the Godfather has to say. All right, have a good night.